Yo guys, what's good? It's your boy Tacho here, and we're back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes. Okay, so we got our copy of Resplendent Brave Ike today. Pretty epic. I mean, this guy needs absolutely no introduction. He was already one of the best units in the game, so for him to get a Resplendent alt with the +2 to all stats is really just gonna put him over the top. Like, this was one of the most unnecessary Resplendent alts we've gotten. His original artwork was already one of the best in the game, I think, and I would have said this was my favorite artwork up until the release of the Resplendent Eldigan. So, Ike definitely didn't need an artwork fix, and he definitely didn't need the +2 to all stats either, but I guess here we go. Now, the reason why I think they did this is because it's the 4-year anniversary, and they wanted to celebrate in style. So they gave us a Resplendent alt that they probably thought everyone would be happy with. And I do think Brave Ike is a good choice for that. Basically, everyone uses him because he was a free unit from, I think it was the final mission of those hero rank quests. So once you got your hero rank up to the max level, you got a copy of Ike. So at the very least, the free copy of this Ike can be used as a merge for everyone's free Ike. And he also comes with the dwarf attire already, which I think is pretty nice. If you look back to Book 4 and try to recall how long it took us to start getting fairy Resplendents, it really took a while, so I'm glad that they're already giving out the dwarf attire, because it's definitely going to look nice on a lot of other characters. And it definitely looks good on Ike, but I'm kind of like not sure which one of these artworks I like better. I still like the original by Kit Recommended, so maybe I'm just going to keep the original, but I will admit the new one is definitely pretty awesome as well. Let me know in the comments section down below if you prefer the old artwork or the new one for Brave Ike. But with all that said, let's actually go ahead and move on to the builds. Now, am I really going to do a builds video for Brave Ike? Like, everyone's got this guy, everyone's been using him forever. So I'm pretty sure most people already get the gist of how to use him. But just in case, like maybe for the people that just started playing the game, you may need a refresher or you may need just a couple of tips. So we're going to definitely have to talk about that. So if we take a look at Ike's base kit, he comes with Irvine, Ether, Steady Breath, Bayork's Blessing, and Threaten Defense 3. Most of it is fodder, honestly. Besides Irvine after the refine, like, they gave this weapon one of the best refines in the entire game. And I was absolutely ecstatic when I saw that refine for the first time. He's also the original unit to come with a breath skill. So I remember back in the day, a lot of people were just sacrificing their copies of Ike to get steady breath on other units. Mainly the dragon units that were able to easily inherit lightning breath. So if you gave them steady breath, you were able to ramp specials with them and also have the distant counter effect, which was nice. But other than that, most of his other skills aren't really that impressive. And as far as IVs are concerned for Brave Ike, I would say you probably want to go plus attack in most situations. It's going to help him out on basically all of his builds. But there is some merit to be had if you want to go plus speed on him. After he got the +2 to all stats, and with absolutely maxed out investment, he can actually start reaching some decent speed levels. And with the right skills, you are going to be able to put that to good use. Or you could also try to go plus res and raise his overall magical bulk if you want. So there's really no wrong answer with the IVs for him. But I would say plus attack overall is probably the best. And if we go ahead and move on to the budget build here, we're pretty much just abusing the hell out of the refined Irvine. What it does is it's going to grant 40% damage reduction to Ike on the first attack, and it also forces the foes to attack Ike consecutively. So let's say they're able to double attack Ike or quad attack him. All of the next attacks are going to happen in a row, and Ike is going to gain an additional 80% damage reduction on all of those extra attacks. So it's a really cheeky way for him to just say no to anything the opponents are doing and brush off most of his damage. And to top it all off, it also comes with -1 special trigger. So when comboed with Aether and Steady Breath, If the foes are able to attack Ike twice in a row, he's immediately going to counter them with an Aether to the face, dealing supreme amounts of damage and also giving him a crazy amount of sustain. So this is basically the combo that makes Ike one of the best tanks. And even for a budget build where we're not able to really run distant counter, which I would say is sort of a mandatory skill on Ike, we're still able to get away with it because his defense is super good, and as long as you're sticking to offensive opponents that deal physical damage, they're really not going to be able to touch him at all. So we're good to go there. Quick Repost, Attack Smoke, and Attack and Defense Solo are going to round out the build, giving Ike the ability to double attack and also raise his bulk even further. But you do have a couple of other options. If you'd prefer, you could go ahead and run Guard in the B slot instead, just to slow down the opponents from charging up specials. And if you do that, you probably want to go Quick Repost as the Seal instead. There's also Mystic Boost if you want to get some nice little sustain after every round of combat, and also nullify staff unit damage. Or you could even try Close Defense, or Bracing Stance 2, or Mirror Stance 2. Both of them are just going to raise his stats when he's in combat against a foe that initiates on him. So you can't go wrong, just go ahead and choose whichever set of skills you like the best. And moving on to the high investment build, this is pretty much the Ike that everybody runs into when they're playing Aether raids. So the idea here is to combo this Ike with Brave Lucina. So you can go ahead and remove the Breath skill in his A slot and go for distant counter. And that way you can go ahead and attack even ranged opponents on the enemy phase. And with Lucina, you're also still maintaining the Breath ramp. So that way you're going to be able to clap them with Aether every single time. And we also go ahead and run Null Sea Disrupt and Pulse Smoke on this build, because Null Sea Disrupt is going to negate stuff like Dazzling Staff or Fire Sweep weapons, and Pulse Smoke is going to be a hard counter to Infantry Pulse teams. So pretty much this Ike is immune to most of the strategies that people run for Aether Raid's defense. And Ike's existence is one of the most threatening for building Aether Raid's defense teams. So a lot of people usually have to tweak their teams and have at least one way to get rid of this guy. And believe it or not, there actually are a couple of ways to beat him. So one of the most common ways is to run the Hardy Bearing Seal. And Hardy Bearing is going to nullify any skills that change attack priority. So you're going to mess with Irvan's Refine and stop him from forcing the Desperation effect on you. So if you attack Ike once, and then he's going to counterattack after that, your next attack is not going to be hurt by the minus 80% damage reduction. So Hardy Bearing is an easy way to beat him, typically on red magic, since his res isn't really that great. And he also doesn't have any damage reduction on area of effect specials. So even though he has color advantage on a unit like Ophelia, she still does a number on him. So you gotta be at least a little bit careful when you're playing this Ike. But for the most part, he is going to destroy everything in his path. Now, you do have a couple of other options you could go for in the B slot, I would say. So instead of Null Sea Disrupt, you could try Lull Attack and Defense instead. You could also try Null Follow-Up if you want to prevent foes from using impact effects on Ike, or also foes that get guaranteed double attacks. Bramimond is a pretty good example. And for the C slot, you could also try Attack Smoke over Pulse Smoke if you're not too threatened by IP teams. Or there's also Joint Drive Attack as well, just to get a little extra damage. And you could even run the Mystic Boost Seal as well over Quick Repost, if you'd rather stop staff units from getting the Wrathful Staff effect, and also get the additional 6 HP after combat. And last but not least, we have the Lubu Special over here. So, Ultimate Magic Bike, the most brain damage build that Lubu has ever constructed. It's pretty much the same idea as before, except we are running plus speed as the IVs on Ike. And by running Spurn 3 and Phantom Speed, Ike is able to stop one of his main weaknesses where he didn't have any damage reduction against AoE specials. So this build is going to grant him that. And also, the 40% damage reduction stacks on top of Irvan's 40% damage reduction and further 80% damage reduction. So it's going to be very hard to deal any damage to this Ike, but you are going to need a lot of investment to really get his speed high enough to make good use of this build. But it's not too hard to raise his speed even further with blessing bonuses. Like if you got Peony or Plumeria on the team, depending on Light Season or Astra Season, they're going to grant him an additional +4 speed for each copy of them that you have. And Peony in general also can raise speed if she's in the same column as your units. So probably Light Season is a little bit better for Ike. We also have Air in Light Season as well to grant the Res Blessings. So he is a very common threat to see in Light Season because of this. But otherwise, it's the same gist as the other build. And as far as alternate options go, I would say maybe the Speed and Res Solo Seal could also work out here. You're going to be gaining the additional speed and also additional res if you're not adjacent to any allies. So you may see that as more worthwhile than Phantom Speed. So just decide which one of those skills you'd rather go for. And it looks like our next Resplendent hero is actually going to be Tana. So pretty interesting. Unfortunately, it's another 5-star exclusive unit. And I'm really starting to miss the 4-star and 3-star summonable Resplendents. I feel like they made for insanely good merge projects after they got the +2 to all stats. So it's pretty sad that we're not getting those anymore. Or at least way less frequently than we were before. And we're also not really getting artwork fixes too much either, because, of course, both Tana and Ike really had good art before this Resplendent, so it wasn't necessary to give them an artwork update. But I'd be lying if I said Tana wasn't one of my favorite females in the series. She was actually my first waifu from Fire Emblem, going way back to Sacred Stones when I played it for the first time. So Tana is a good girl, and definitely not a bad choice for a Resplendent alt. And they went with the fairy attire as well for Tana, which I guess is a decent fit for her. So she's going to be able to be best friends with Erica all over again, pretty much. Let me know in the comments section down below what you think of Resplendent Tana's artwork. And that's going to wrap us up for the video today. Hope you guys enjoyed the discussion about Resplendent Brave Ike. Definitely one of the more plot twist Resplendent heroes that we've ever gotten, just because of how relevant he is to the meta. And the thought of powering him up even more is pretty crazy. So thanks so much for watching, guys. This is your boy Tacho signing out. So take care, fellas. And I will catch y'all again on the flip side.